We welcome you to perhaps the purest form of football in all of Concacaf. Welcome to the Concacaf Under-20 Championship. And we continue with Group F. It's the final pair of teams to begin play in the Under-20 Championship. It is Mexico and Suriname. Welcome, everybody. Mike Watts on hand. It's a joy to bring you this one under the lights in San Pedro Sula, where there was lightning previously, but it's holding off for now. The flag of El Tri and that of Suriname hang above the tunnel that these teams will eventually walk out of. Here's a look at Group F, Suriname and Mexico. The last two teams to debut in the tournament. Trinidad and Tobago taking on Haiti about 3 hours ago. And what a game it was, 4-4. And the two sides split the points and drop one to the cutting room floor. Let's talk about Group F for a moment and what lies in store for this game. If you're Suriname, they arrived with 50 players and an ideal. It wasn't quite clear how they would ultimately construct this roster, but they've chosen a combination of 20 players that either feature in the Netherlands, part of the diaspora that they've been able to tap into at the senior level, and players in Suriname who play domestically. It's a group that hasn't had all that much success on the under-20 stage. They've never reached the knockout stage, but perhaps this year, the top three going through, they've never had a better chance. Meanwhile, for Mexico, there is no team in CONCACAF that holds remotely a candle to what they've achieved. No other team has more than 2 titles. They have 13. And the expectation for Mexico here, not only to qualify for the Under-20 World Cup, is finishing a top 4, a semifinalist would bring you. But the expectation is they should reach the final. They are one of the favorites, and they should qualify for the Olympics in Paris in summer of 2024. We know how much success Mexico has had with their Olympic team. Historically, it's up to these 20 players, all of whom have featured in some level of either the American top division or that of Mexico, that they should be able to get back to the Olympic stage. Whether it's these players or a mix of these players and a couple players older than they are, go to Paris and compete again for a medal on the Olympic podium. The lights are shining here. The rain apparently is gone, and you can't quite see the mountains that stand off in the distance. They would be a pretty proper way of describing what Suriname faces here tonight. They are massive underdogs. And yet you don't get the feeling that they'll be afraid here at the jump against a Mexican side that's won this crown 13 times and anticipates another trip to another World Cup and the Olympics over the next 2 years by way of qualification through this tournament if they don't raise the trophy as well. All right, Suriname and Mexico taking the field. This is the anthem of the Under-20 CONCACAF Championship. It'll be followed by the anthems of Suriname and Mexico. Enjoy the pageantry of this moment. 22 young men experiencing something that few of us can understand, with a crest on their chest, enjoying an international match with so much on the line.
Damas y caballeros, por favor, de pie. A continuación, los himnos nacionales de México. Posterior, el himno de Surinam.
You do, in fact, love to see it. These young Surinamese players, many of whom ultimately count on their roots in Suriname, bring them back to Honduras now to represent this country. And the young Mexicans with the weight of expectation, but the expectation of glory. Grab a seat and enjoy tonight. It's the beginning of Group F for these two sides, the last two debutantes. Here's a look at the lineup that Luis Ernesto Perez has put out, the 41-year-old Mexican who's reached Concacaf glory on the club and country level. As Unoyo starts in goal, this is a group that has Perez from LA Galaxy, Tony Leone coming from LAFC. Other than that, everybody has featured in the Mexican First Division last year. Real Madrid of Grenada will oversee this match. Randy Encarnacion, a regular in the middle, will work the fourth official position for this opener. Here's Fidel Ambriz and Gabriel Demez. Exchanging pennants. What kind of pennants lies in store for Suriname? Can they slow El Tri for any extended length of time? Can they possibly pull off one of the early upsets of the tournament? St. Kitts and Nevis and the Cayman Islands are represented in the VAR room. This is the first tournament with VAR. And here's a look at the lineup for Suriname. Werner Blackson, the 42-year-old Surinamese former international defender, oversees the group. They do have a couple players who feature domestically in Suriname. Andro, the number 10. The goalkeeper, Mirzorg. And the Mays and Wassenaar, who play in the back. The other 7 feature either in the Netherlands or in the case of Derby in Portugal. What goes through the mind of these Surinamese players? Surely they think they're prepared to shock Concacaf. What's in the mind of these Mexican players? The reliance on this tournament, not just to reach the under-20s, the World Cup level, but of course of massive significance, the upcoming Summer Olympics in Paris. There's the opening whistle, and now all 20 teams have featured in some form of under-20 CONCACAF championship qualification. It's the group stage for Mexico and Suriname. We're underway in San Pedro Sula. Suriname in white. Comes down to Girold. Early challenge, and Suriname has gotten stuck in right off the bat. That's Campos, who has been called into the full Mexican national team. Leone, who's playing at this stage more with Las Vegas Lights than he is LAFC. A homegrown player for the MLS side. Perez, who's signed to the crosstown rival of Los Angeles Football Club, LA Galaxy, Major League Soccer's most successful franchise. A throw from Martinez. Spinning out, Oostwild, and touched away from Lozano. Bounced in by Mariscal, and recovered here, Alcantar. Luis Perez, the manager for these under-20s, made clear the lead up. This tournament opens doors to Europe for some of these young players, should they desire it. The majority of them have seen some, if not significant, time playing in Liga MX in Mexico. Violante turning Perez. Alcantar. Good hold-up play to maintain. Perez inches to the outside. Angles to the end line. Slices it back dangerously. Suriname had an answer. Still for Martinez. Back heel allows Emilio Martinez further. And Suriname will defend a set piece. There were two lurking Mexican players. Field for Mirzorg. Ball bouncing through. Lifted up, Leone. And Campos sends it away. A little bit of context here to Suriname. Had about 200 names in mind in the grand scheme. Big names, youth players. They map out who's eligible. They contact individuals overseas, those domestically, gauge interest. Within this group, they ultimately called 50 players into their 2-week training camp and then considered adding some additional players who play overseas. That ultimately led them to the 20 that they chose. Anything they get out of this match at all is a positive. Campos ricochets up. Mirzorg. Ball bounced off of him, perhaps luckily for him, as he was angling outside the penalty area. Service across. Bouncing toward the line, cleared by Suriname, and once more off the header by Embreeze. Another corner. Looks very uncertain for Suriname. To the back post, not defended all that well. And cleared away by Haas. Up by Campos. Maybe a chance to run here. Gerold. What a slide to take possession back for Mexico. Brought down by Fidel Embreeze. Club Leon, a regular in Concacaf Champions League. In the first division, he captained the side not only tonight, but at the Revelations Cup, the tail end of last year. Tournament in November played in Celaya, Mexico, the U.S., Brazil, and Colombia. Sending squads. Mexico ultimately won the tournament. Alcantar. Violante. Gonzalez. Ball teed up here, Embreeze. Embreeze recovers. Perez chasing. And sent away by Suriname. You can see the outfield has been largely decimated. Playing surface is largely maintained okay. This is the second game of the day. Fourth played in the last 2 days here, this venue in San Pedro Sula. The rain earlier today has certainly had a negative effect. Girold. Loyo didn't have to do much at all in the 8th minute, but Suriname showing their teeth a bit. They're going to have to counter. Over the top, Lozano. This game being played entirely on Mexico's terms, as anticipated here in the opening 10 minutes. Campos. That'll get out. There was a 33-minute lightning delay in the previous game. It was 4-3 at the time in favor of Trinidad and Tobago, only to see Haiti score in the 90th minute, secure a point. In theory, that's to Suriname's benefit. Gives them the opportunity really to jump either team with a victory. The top 3 of the 4 in this group ultimately reach the knockout stage. Room to run into for Campos. Lozano, that didn't draw the referee. Ball across, keeper came out. Clearance a little stronger there, Cheverio. Lozano. And Suriname, even numbers in the attacking half. Driving forward, Cheverio. Playing for Sparta Rotterdam in Holland. Luis Perez said in the lead up to this, there's not a lot of information about Suriname. Said there is no small team anymore in Concacaf, and there is some humility to that statement, and in some ways maybe a tad disingenuous. Mexico, of course, holding such a stranglehold historically on this tournament, though surely it wasn't intended in that manner. Did describe this group stage as complicated. Ambriz. Perez steps through. Sought the back post, long run, Violante, comes out Campos, and it's tapped home. Lozano found the opener for Mexico. El Tri leads. Meersburg makes a good stop the first time around. But right onto the waiting foot of Lozano, who sweeps it home. And Mexico is officially off and running in the Under-20 Concacaf Championship in 2022. Very much onside. Marks are lost. There's a good save from Meersburg, but simple for Esteban Lozano, the pride of Club America. And Mexico grabs the advantage, one they expected and one they expect to maintain. There is VAR in this tournament, so as the case with every goal and every interaction that could be deemed worthy of VAR, constant checking. And it didn't take long. We'll see if that opened the floodgates. Far and away, the most brutal result of the tournament thus far has been St. Kitts and Nevis, destroyed by the United States in the opener of this tournament, 10 goals to 0. Leone. Leone again. Golden Ball winner in the U.S. Soccer Development Academy, playing for LAFC's youth setup. There's Gonzalez, who features at Pachuca. Brought down ably by Campos. Couldn't jet by, but does recover. Ambriz. Martinez. Sent away by Cheverio. Suriname featuring in Nations League A on the senior level. And as fate would have it, paired into a group with Jamaica and Mexico. Went away to Mexico, fell 3-0 to close out the most recent senior national team window. Spinning around Perez. Comes through Ambriz. Suriname did, however, get a draw against Jamaica. Promptly then had to go to Kingston, fell 3-1. Campos. All this after Suriname earned promotion in Nations League in the previous cycle. A little room to run onto here for the Surinamese. Girold. Andro. Dropped it down, Cheverio. Chiverio on the other end. Sent this early. Maintained by Girold. Best moment of possession for Suriname thus far. And that is a dangerous swipe coming off his line. Jose Uloyo got his fingers to it and swiped it away. Uloyo hasn't played yet in Liga MX, but he has featured prominently with Pachuca at the youth levels. And a regular part of the national team at the under-17 level as well for Mexico. Corner, Mexico. Campos. 15 yards, that won't do. From Brian Gonzalez. He's one of the members of the Concacaf Under-17 champion side that has aged into this Under-20 group. Alcantar sends upfield. Campos pressuring. But it is here with Suriname for a moment. Girold. Dancing over the ball, Girold. Maintained by Suriname. Haas. Girold. Return was played off. Comes back up, Haas. This tournament is a bit unique. The top 16 ranked teams in CONCACAF qualify directly here into the group stage. As for the nations ranked below that point, they already had their qualifying, which resulted in Nicaragua, Curacao, the Dominican Republic, and Puerto Rico reaching the tournament and going directly into the round of 16. For them, it was a much more fraught experience. Very little margin for error. In this group, 3 of the 4 going through. This is Group F, the winner here, and Mexico, the obvious favorite, would see Puerto Rico on June the 26th here at the Estadio Morazan before the quarterfinals turn to Estadio Olímpico Metropolitano here in San Pedro Sula. Ball ushered through. And will roll out to touch. A throw here for the goal scorer, Esteban Lozano. The rest of this group is paired up with Group H for the second and third place finishers. That's the host Honduras, Costa Rica, Jamaica, Antigua, and Barbuda, which in theory is perhaps the toughest group of the four. Maintained by Gonzalez, touch back to Campos. Martinez. Martinez slides forward, and there's another. Mariscal. A 2-goal Mexican lead. A player who scored massive goals for Santos Laguna in the youth ranks has added 1 year for Mexico in the 23rd minute of play. Finds himself acres of space around him, onside by a few yards. A lot of credit for getting that ball away in the first place with a challenge coming. And Mariscal clean and collected through the legs of Mirzorg. He just skipped through that foot that jumped into the air late on. Mexico 2, Suriname 0.
Su atención, por favor. Gol de México. El número 8, Salvador Mariscal, en el minuto 23.
And Breeze. Leone. Alcantar, who's tipped to be headed to Sporting Lisbon from Necaxa, the first sale from that club to Europe. And perhaps the first of many when you consider that no club placed more players onto this Mexican under-20 side than they did. 4. 3 more from Pachuca, a trio from the LA-based MLS teams. Through Mariscal. Oh, the back heel. Sets up Mariscal again from Lozano. It's a third for Mexico. Mariscal scored twice in 3 minutes.
Su atención, por favor, damas y caballeros, gol de la selección de México en el minuto 25 con el número 8, Salvador Mariscal.
Mariscal, delicate back heel from Lozano. Eyes in the back of his head. And for Suriname, they concede in the 13th. Now the 23rd and the 25th minute. And could there be more? Mariscal plays it over. Headed back. Allowed off by Lozano. From the end line, floats up. Campos. And from distance, that'll fly over. Mexico charging again. That's a tough challenge into Brian Gonzalez. Kept in here for Martinez. Alcantar. There's Martinez. Kept in by Girold. Sprinting through space, Andro, Girold. Slice through, Andro! Off the post and out. Oh, that would have been a delightful moment for Demetrio Andro. Plays for Transvaal in Suriname. Ball was touched away by Leone, and what a fortuitous bounce it was for Andro. Trotting forward, unimpeded. The width of Perez. Mariscal. And a Mexican corner inside half an hour. Corner here for Mexico. Header smashed back and ultimately into the hands of Dwayne Meerszorg. We've played half an hour in San Pedro Sula in Honduras. It's the 8th game of tournament proper. It's the opening game for Mexico and Suriname. This from distance will cause a back trot, but nothing more. It's Perez who had inverted. Including this game, there have now been 38 goals already in this tournament. 10 scored by the U.S., Cuba, and Canada. It's perhaps most entertaining game of the opening day here in match day 1. Martin scored in the 42nd minute for Cuba and then had to play the last 20 minutes in goal after Cuba was reduced to 10. Ultimately knocked off Canada in a shocker in Group E. Best game of today had to be Haiti and Trinidad and Tobago, which occurred on this field preceding this. 4-4. Trinidad and Tobago led 3 different times and settles for a point. Haiti also led 3-2. Put really simply, if this group ultimately comes down to a point here, Trinidad and Tobago and Haiti will certainly be kicking themselves for the inability to seal the deal on match day 1. That's Lozano twisting and turning, showing off some skill. Already that's a well-worn kit from Meerszorg. Campos and Perez wait behind the ball. And watch out, because Perez could try and go for goal. Jonathan Perez. Header is smashed home. Fidel Ambriz, the captain of the side, grabs the fourth for Mexico. Picturesque service provided by the foot of Jonathan Perez. And a domineering header from Fidel Ambriz. Rises in a glancing blow. Put it by Mirzorg. Mexico now, that's goal number 301, scored in 117 games in the Concacaf Under-20 Championship. The next closest team in goals scored, the U.S. at 215. Their goal difference is ballooned at 233. This has been their tournament to win more years than not. And this comes after J.J. Macias scored 10, a tournament record back in 2018. The most recent addition to the tournament, though ultimately it was Tab Ramos' American side, ultimately claimed the trophy at the end. This is a tournament in which Chucky Lozano has won the leading goal scorer, the Golden Boot in 2015. Richard Sanchez was the best goalkeeper in 2013. Antonio Briseño was an MVP that year. Ronaldo Cisneros in 2017 won the Golden Boot as well. Ball ahead, and the touch through, and the touch is narrowly off the mark. It would have been a golazo finish from Esteban Lozano. Ultimately the 28th edition of this tournament, which has brought to the consciousness of many in CONCACAF some of the greatest stars. Advantage played here to Suriname. Foul won by Oostwoud. Sprinting forward, that's simple for Leone, but still a little work to be done here. Chiverio sent it wide. Violante slides in, stays with Suriname. Oh, this is brilliant. And skied over the bar. Two good chances for Andro. Well, the 18-year-old has put himself in some really good spots. And you can get the sense that while Mexico may be a power too big, certainly the game has already turned heavily in their favor. You could see Suriname getting out of this group. The top three going through, if results go their way here, both Trinidad and Tobago and Haiti still have to play this Mexico side. And if Mexico handles their business, Suriname with a win in either of the last two games, given the fact that Haiti and Trinidad and Tobago drew earlier, they could find their way out of this group with 3 points. Oostwoud strikes this into the width. Ball rolled ahead. Chiverio cut that back somewhat dangerously. Bounces down. Gonzalez pushed off, and then Gonzalez commits the foul. Dakrid.
Estamos, Violante. Violante. Dale a la izquierda, Violante. Otro. Ahí está, ahí está.
And a set piece here, 40 minutes in for Suriname. First ball's away and breeze. Andro. Well won by Lozano. Free kick here for Mexico. This is a country that's starting to see some genuine success in Concacaf of late. They've never reached the World Cup. They did qualify for the Gold Cup in 2021. And they won a game while they were there, too. On the club level, Inter Moengatapol reached the 2021 Concacaf League through the Caribbean Club Championship finalist run they had. Although that's a story worth reading. Quite the game in Concacaf League against Olympia back in 2021. But in the early days of CONCACAF club competition, Suriname was regularly on the tip of everybody's tongue. Alcantar. Ambriz. Good ball. And struck from distance over the bar by Esteban Lozano. Mariscal sitting on a hat trick. He's already got a brace. 2 goals in a 3-minute span that broke this thing open. Lozano opened the scoring, and Breeze scored off a set piece as well. Martinez ahead, bobbled, maintained with Campos on rushing. Good to see Mirzorg able to continue. Transvaal did win Concacaf Champions Cup. That's the club that placed Andro, who's been outstanding, and the Mays into this team, the captain for Suriname, back in 1973, and again in 1981. Of course, that was the Champions Cup era. Certainly a very different kind of tournament than we've experienced in recent years of CONCACAF Champions League, which up until this year had been a solely Mexican coronation for the continental title. Club level. Jesus Alcantar. Good step in here for Suriname. Lofted over for Andro, who's been revelatory in this game for an otherwise docile attacking Suriname. Giroud, Andro. Andro touches in front, referee immediately waves this on. Play on. 1 added minute. That's kept in, and the flag is down. Mexico's siphoned it off, and they're looking for a 5th before halftime. Brian Gonzalez has a step, and now he's broken through. Brian Gonzalez! The best goal of the bunch so far for Mexico.
Su atención, por favor. Gol de la selección de México. Con el número 11, Brian González. En el minuto 45+1.
Look at where this begins. He has 80 yards to transverse. And it's there. He's gone. And Gonzalez finishes side netting by Mirzorg. And Mexico has added a 5th on the night in the first minute of first half stoppage time. Next kick should send us to the intermission. And there is the halftime whistle. Mexico has conceded 2 decent chances to Suriname, but as anticipated, they have dismantled the Surinamese under-20s and look the part of a tournament favorite. Lozano scores in the 13th, assists Mariscal's first. He adds another for the brace, and Breeze in the 33rd, the captain off a set piece. And then a 75 or 80-yard run by Brian Gonzalez adds another shortly before the break. And that is a devastated Surinamese side and a Mexican side that is all business. Halftime in San Pedro Sula, Mexico 5, Suriname 0.
Official Concacaf app. No matter where you are or who you're rooting for, you can watch your favorite competitions, teams, and players on the go. Get the latest news on all things Concacaf. Get access to stats, play-by-play, players' information, schedule, and standings. Get instant notifications and alerts. Discover other fans like you. And show your support in social media with our exclusive camera filters. All of that and much more. Take your Concacaf experience to the next level. Download now the official Concacaf app. Available on the App Store and Google Play. app. No matter where you are or who you're rooting for, you can watch your favorite competitions, teams, and players on the go. Get the latest news on all things Concacaf. Get access to stats, play-by-play, players' information, schedule, and standings. Get instant notifications and alerts. Discover other fans like you. And show your support in social media with our exclusive camera filters. All of that and much more. Take your Concacaf experience to the next level. Download now the official Concacaf app, available on the App Store and Google Play. Concacaf app. No matter where you are or who you're rooting for, you can watch your favorite competitions, teams, and players on the go. Get the latest news on all things Concacaf. Get access to stats, play-by-play, players' information, schedule, and standings. Get instant notifications and alerts. Discover other fans like you. And show your support in social media with our exclusive camera filters. All of that and much more. Take your Concacaf experience to the next level. Download now the official Concacaf app, available on the App Store and Google Play.
San Pedro Sula in Honduras. We welcome you back to the Concacaf Under-20 Men's Championship. Mexico a 5-goal advantage at the intermission over Suriname. And a chance for Mexico to grab hold of Group F, where they anticipate they will remain in a group with Haiti and Trinidad and Tobago. You see Christian Torres there, Jesus Hernandez, Saul Zamora, all set to enter here for Mexico. Bowman is on for Suriname. There's the whistle, and on to the second half we go on a field that's seen the wear and tear of 4 games in 2 days. This, the finale of match day 1. And Suriname coming out hustling. So you see Lozano has come off. There's a foul. Jesus Hernandez has come on. Lozano scored the opener in the 13th minute of play. Yellow card shown to Oostwoud. Campos, wrong end of a haphazard challenge. Darby came out for Suriname. There's Perez out. And the inclusion of Christian Torres. Newly minted captain for this second half, Gonzalez. Zamora came on, and Embreeze seated the captain's armband. So 3 changes for El Tri, 1 for Suriname. Rolled along by Alcantar. Hold in here, Saul Zamora. Violante. And Suriname get a 3rd try to advance this across the halfway line. They've managed, and they've found Chiverio outside. Bounces back Gonzalez. His field was okay until the rain earlier today, and then it really started to show some wear and tear. This will be home to games through the round of 16. The quarterfinals, semifinals, and the final will all be played in San Pedro Sula, but they'll be at the Olympic Stadium. Maintaining through the contact, Gonzalez. Campos. Gonzalez will chase. Campos came with him. Mariscal had a good idea there. No one else was on the same wavelength. Running by Zamora into the attacking half. Chiverio. Oostwild. Chaverio kept it in. Angling through. Bauman, new to the game. Came on at halftime, gets his first look at goal. Werner Blackson, the 42-year-old manager for Suriname, capped double-digit appearances with Suriname. Was the assistant manager during that 2021 Concacaf Gold Cup run. Also has experience managing in the Surinamese First Division. '21 Gold Cup that saw Mexico reach the final and saw Suriname out of Group C, although they did manage victory over Guadeloupe. Fell to Jamaica and Costa Rica, failed to advance to the knockout stage. Rolled through by Jesus Hernandez. Querétaro is a highly celebrated prospect. The Guardian placed Hernandez in their next generation for 2021. Comes into the game here at halftime. Cesar Hernandez wrote a few good comments about Hernandez. Querétaro not only scoring with the under-20 side at Querétaro, making his pro debut, showing a variety of versatile skills. Played early. Chaverio. Still a little work to be done here. That was dangerously given away here. Another chance lashing toward target for Suriname. And concerningly, a potential injury to the brightest light in the attack, Demetrio Andro. He indicated as soon as he hit that something was wrong. Yeah, he indicated instantly. So there's the turnover, but watch as he releases this. Something buckles there. They've gotten him down here. He was unable to sit on his own. Held himself up and called for the athletic trainer. And you hope for a young player who's honestly been very impressive here for Suriname that this isn't all that significant. Zero Demais, his teammate in Suriname, waits to enter. But this looks like a really painful injury right now. Andrew will come off. And as much as that hurts on the field for Suriname, we hope for the 18-year-old there isn't far more lasting damage done. As it pertains to this game, that's the second sub first window utilized by Suriname. Torres, good interchange. Mirzorg comes out and grapples with that, and now he's gone down. It comes off his line to get this, and it didn't look like there was any contact at all from an opponent. But regrettably for Suriname, the athletic trainer has been needed now twice in a very short span. There's the reserve goalkeeper for Suriname, Jonathan Funkel of Robin Hood in Suriname, the 17-year-old, preparing if need be. Bit unclear what happened that caused this. In that moment, particularly. The referee trying to give every opportunity for this to be sorted out, prevent Suriname from having to make a substitution here. They do have 2 windows left, which is not the case that Cuba faced in their group stage game against Canada. Their goalkeeper was sent off, but they had no windows remaining. It's a second injury. It's a goalkeeper who had bright moments. And certainly the attacking player, Demetrio Andro, who was so dynamic. Well, the good news is it appears that Dwayne Mirzorg is intent on continuing. He'll do so with an apparent hitch in his step. perhaps intriguingly, he punted that ball well downfield after showing signs of a leg injury. So play on here in San Pedro Sula. Not much action here in the second half. 2 injuries have eaten into the first 15 minutes of the frame. Violante couldn't sneak that inside, but it does fall to Campos now. Zamora into the feet of Hernandez. And now an injured Mexican player down, grabbing his left leg. Mexico's going to put this out of play. It's another injury, and it's Campos now. Campos already under consideration. Tata Martino back in October called into Mexican camp. Also, watch Campos here. Yeah, he rolls his ankle. There's nobody around him. Just trying to turn and cut back to that ball over his head. And Diego Gomez appears poised to enter. Player did ultimately get the opportunity to play in the Clausura for Necaxa. And this is such an unforgiving tournament. If you do sprain an ankle, that could be it. Group stage is only 5 days long, and then you jump right into it. Well, watch this. Oostwoud appeared to take his kit off. Reingold comes in.
Damas y caballeros, en el minuto 63, sustitución para Suriname. Con el número 15 sale Chevron Oswald. Ingresa Adrián.
There's Diego Gomez coming in. He'll replace Campos. Just rolled that ankle.
Su atención, por favor, sustitución en la selección de México. En el minuto 63 sale con el número 10 Karel Campos.
Reingoud's come in. Number 9 for Suriname. It's the 4th sub for Mexico. They'll likely try and hold on to that last one should there be any issues injury-wise from here. Touched over by Zamora. good news there for Oostwoud as he came off. Took his kit off while he was making his way off the field. He was on a yellow card, and the referee pulled a yellow card out of his pocket, but it's unclear whether or not he showed it. Doesn't appear that he did. Certainly they allowed the substitution. That was the only player on a yellow to this point. 65 minutes gone, 20 minutes into the half. And 3 separate injury stoppages have slowed Mexico to an extent. Gomez turns the corner. And this is a Mexican corner. This is swinging away from goal. It should be Zamora. Zamora the service. Taken out of the air. And that's a bit better off Martinez's effort. Sent as far as Gomez. Possessioneers ballooned. Mexico had 66% of the first half possession. It's now 76. They've outpassed Suriname 430 to 140. Cross field, that's excellent. It's Gonzalez. Scored the most recent goal for Mexico. Violante. And an injured Surinamese player. And there's danger in this moment for Suriname. So it appears at this stage that Girold is just trying to stretch this out a bit. He'll get back to his feet on his own. They only have 1 window and 2 subs remaining. And Mirzorg, goalkeeper, went down with an injury but stayed on. Yeah, Girold knew it. Away from the ball. That right leg appears to be cramping up. Tony Leone. Violante. Zamora. Zamora in front. Ball deflects away. Hernandez kept it. And launched away by Diego Gomez. Gonzalez stepping in, didn't get the ball. And Bakrit. We mentioned this is the last window. Jan Girold comes off. They made one change at halftime, bringing on Baumann, then Reingaud and DeMays in separate measures. And Roche Azadan comes on now. Free kick given. Alcantar hops back up. Gonzalez. Violante. Alcantar. Leone. It's been featuring for Las Vegas Lights. Same can be said for Christian Torres a bit. Ball across, knocked down Nimrutu Hernandez. This will go out for a Mexican corner. Torres, the number 7, Leone, the number 3, featuring with the Second Division USL Championship side, known as much for their play on the field as the Llama mascots. That's a parade around the venue. Curling ball punched into the air and over the bar by Mirzorg. To the top of the area, stabbed aside. Goalkeeper's way out, sends that forward. Was perhaps looking for Hernandez to make a tight turn. That's lost a touch. That Vegas side, by the way, led by the former U.S. international Steve Cherundolo, who's now at LAFC. Both those players are on contract. Now run by Enrique Duran. He's done a really nice job. It is from Leone to a teammate there in Torres. Alcantar. Emilio Martinez. Mexico's largely nursed this game through the opening half hour of the second 45. Gonzalez turning Gomez. Violante seeking Gonzalez. Martinez. Well, what lies ahead for these teams here in the Concacaf Under-20 Championship? Driven away by Suriname. This is Group F. Haiti and Trinidad and Tobago with their 4-4 draw earlier today. Still leaves a very clear path for Suriname into the knockout stage. Really nothing has been lost here for their hopes of continuing in the tournament. They'll get Haiti next here in 2 days' time. Trinidad and Tobago will get their shot at Mexico. Trinidad and Tobago led by their senior national team coach, Angus Eve. They've got some pretty transcendent talents in that group. Torres curling, and the rebound drops down to Gonzalez, who lofts it high. Wassenaar sends it to the halfway line. Wassenaar is there again. It's lost by Cheverio. He's lost his running mates up front. That makes for a difficult second half. No Andro, no Girold. We'll see what Andro's hope is moving forward in the tournament after leaving injured. Suriname into the final third and lofting that across to the opposite side. Maybe there's a chance to get something through here again. And an effort on Reingoud's effort, stabbed high. Not a bad thought at all from Azedan. Appeared to be coming from an offside position regardless. He's looking for something acrobatic. Header away, falls to Torres. Long run for Haas. Instead of a corner, merely a throw. Energy hasn't dropped off here from Suriname. Dangerous slide in. That's well done. Dakrit. Cheverio. Gonzalez. Hernandez. Gonzalez once more. Curls that in behind. Bounces all the way through. Torres denied by Mirzorg. Oh, that could have been glorious for a dual youth national team player, Christian Torres. This will be it. Urado's coming on. Fifth and final change. Brian Gonzalez comes off. Scored one, had a gorgeous assist on another. And Jurado enters. Torres, Hernandez, Gomez, Zamora, and Jurado were the five inclusions in this game off the bench. And Breeze, Campos, Gonzalez, Perez, and Lozano came off. Well, this is the concern that existed here for Suriname. They made the change at halftime, but they also made changes in the 55th, the 63rd, and the 70th. So they're out of windows here, and they'll try and work out that left leg, left calf area for Dwayne Meerzorg. It's a corner after the save. Torres heads that down and whipped around by Alcantar away. Well, truthfully, Mexico did the job in the first 45 minutes. Didn't leave a lot of work to be done. They've completed 536 passes. This is a Mexican team that has spoken proudly about prioritizing the team here. A huge number of individuals could have easily slotted in to this 20. Jurado maintained. Battling away, that's going to stay in. Dakrit. Was talk that Marcelo Flores, this through here for Suriname. Bauman. And out to Jurado. Was some talk about Marcelo Flores perhaps being a part of the equation here. The Canadian-born attacking midfielder who's featuring in Arsenal's under-23s. After a stint at Ipswich Town. Has played in the 16s and the 20s and in the Mexican national team as well. That was a tantalizing option here for a number of onlookers. Hoping to see more of Flores in an El Tree shirt. It was the match against Suriname actually in Nations League. It officially cap-tied Marcelo Flores to Mexico moving forward. And Chiverio down. Suriname has had to chase and chase and chase. And somehow this Surinamese side is going to have to pick themselves up, play a Haiti side that made your head spin how often you were going side to side against Trinidad and Tobago. Can Mexico add anything else here at the tail end? Goal difference, if you win your group, is really irrelevant in this tournament. Jurado falls, but Gomez dragged it beyond the confines of the goal mouth. It's really for a team like Suriname where it could become immensely valuable. There is a way to see multiple teams on 1 point at the end of this, potentially getting through by way of goal difference. Certainly Suriname, with a victory paired with a Mexican win against one of their next two opponents, could go through that way as well. From the end line, the ball across, the header down and in, and that is a hat-trick goal for Salvador Mariscal. He scored in the 23rd and 25th that opened the floodgates, and now he adds one in the dying minutes.
Por favor, damas y caballeros, gol de la selección de México en el minuto 87. El número 8, Salvador Mariscal.
And that should just about do it. He is the first player with a hat trick in the 2022 Concacaf Under-20 Championship, which puts him at the front of the Golden Boot race. Petagon from Panama, Stevenson Duddy from Haiti, Nathaniel James from Trinidad and Tobago. Jody and James both featuring, of course, in this group. And then Paxton Aronson and Nico Chikaris of the U.S. each have 2 goals. Mariscal now has given Mexico a 6-pack on the night. And with 100 seconds, and ultimately we'll find out how much the referee decides to add here. In theory, there was a massive amount of injury time. But whether that reality matches up with the amount of time that's given here in a 6-0 game remains to be seen. Taken away here by Mexico. Rolled in front and touched wide by Jesus Hernandez.
Damas y caballeros, la asistencia para el partido de hoy. 142 aficionados.
Rolled just off the base of the post. So what does this mean? It puts Mexico top of the group. This being Group F. Sees Puerto Rico as the opponent in the round of 16. Should they ultimately win the group, still games to be played for both these sides against Haiti and Trinidad and Tobago. As for the other two Group F teams that qualify, they would face the teams finishing second and third in Group H, which is Honduras, Costa Rica, Jamaica, and Antigua and Barbuda. They will play an additional 10 minutes of stoppage time. Major injuries stopped the game significantly at the outset. Good ball through. Mariscal, and another good save by Mirzorg. And he's gone down again. He's gone down with apparent cramping 3 or 4 times now. Mariscal with another tremendous effort by Dwayne Mirzorg, who's made a number of top drawer saves along the way. It's just been far too much for Mexico on the day. Mexican side that's attempted 571 passes, dominated the possession 3/4. Jurado, header snapped at goal. That's going to go wide. With the deflection, leads to another corner. Service here for Mexico. Bounces in front, another save, and hammered in, Tony Leone. Mexico's 7th. And what happens in San Pedro Sula stays in San Pedro Sula for Leone. The 3rd minute of second half stoppage time. Ball bounced down, a handful of appeals there for a handball, and Leone rifles this in. And it's a runaway for Mexico down the stretch. They were held scoreless in the second half until the 87th minute. Now they've bagged a pair in about a 5-minute span. That'll come in the 90-plus third. Antonio Leone. Charging upfield, Jesus Hernandez. Jurado. Good intervention by Dakrit, but taken back here by Mexico, only to see it siphoned off at the halfway line. Javerio bounces it off of Violante. Service across. Mexico's got that covered. Came down to Gomez. Still work to be done. Treverio takes that to the line. Torres. So both these teams will be back in action here in 2 days' time. If you are Suriname, that's your first chance to grab 3 points and put Haiti on the defensive against Mexico. All deflects down. If you defeat Haiti, if you're Suriname, in simplest terms, you would require Haiti to win against Mexico in the group finale to go through. And then you get a chance at Trinidad and Tobago. You would need to win that game and hope for a Mexico win against Trinidad and Tobago. So it just comes down to Mexico looking to pull all 9 points, dominate this Group F, and for Suriname, hope that that's the case and try and get a victory in one of your next 2 games. All to play for, given the draw earlier today. And for Mexico, they have their eyes on that top spot in the group, and ultimately, you know, a tournament here that has dual meanings. The Under-20 World Cup in Indonesia to the 4 semifinalists, and the Paris Olympics beckon for the 2 finalists. Once you get that far, might as well put your hands on the trophy too. Now, the 3rd place finisher in the E group, should the United States slip up, that's the only instance in which you could see Mexico and the U.S., if Mexico were to win this group as anticipated, meeting before the final. Ball lofted across. Soars upward. Torres goes down. It's going to be a card for that. There's a free kick. A dangerous spot and a chance to add another highlight to the reel. Card shown, a little bit of frustration there perhaps from Mazedan. That is, you could easily see a different color for that. Beg your pardon, that's Reingaud. Got his boot extended and caught the player right in the face. With 100 ticks to go.
Señoras y señores, su atención por favor, tarjeta amarilla para el jugador número 9, Adrián Reyes, en el minuto 90 más 8.
Yeah, they're going to go to VAR for this. They're going to have a more extended look after Christian Torres received a kick in the face from Reingaud. First use of VAR in this game. And look, he is trying to make a play on the ball, but ultimately a boot that high, a player that doesn't really have any protection at all. and you do make contact. You can see the VAR room hard at work here at this late hour. It's about 10:30 local in San Pedro Sula. Tristly Bosway of St. Kitts and Nevis is the VAR. Radix of Grenada is the referee. Looking from all angles. Here comes the decision. Yeah, it's straight red. From the back pocket, and it's another player who's unavailable for Suriname in an important fixture in 2 days' time. Reingoud seemed to know it when that card came out. And we've gone over 100 minutes now. There's a good chance Mexico, if they take this free kick at all, will take this free kick and call it a day. We do get a chance to see if Jesus Hernandez, who's had a number of chances, get one more opportunity at target. They're going to pull Torres off. This is a sixth substitute for Mexico through the head injury protocol that's being honored in this tournament. And Palma has come on, and he was standing over the ball. And Hernandez has waved him off. The wall is 5 for Suriname. Meersborg perhaps needs to make one more good save here. And 102 minutes into the game, Jesus Hernandez! An exclamation point, a golazo for Mexico. And their 8th comes in the 13th minute of second half stoppage time.
Su atención, por favor. Su atención, por favor. Gol de la selección de México en el minuto 90 más 13.
Non-stop scoring in this Under-20 championship. The 43rd goal of the first match day in 8 games. In Mexico, the second highest scoring team on match day 1. Only the U.S. with 10 against St. Kitts and Nevis. And there is the full-time whistle, and this was comprehensive from Mexico. The 13-time champion open with an avalanche of goals against Suriname. And a hat trick, the first of the tournament, scored by Mariscal, Lozano, Ambriz, Gonzalez, Leone, and Hernandez all score as well. So Suriname sinks to the bottom of Group F. Mexico moves to the top of the group. For our entire team in San Pedro Sula and beyond, this is Mike Watts saying thanks for watching the conclusion of match day 1 in the 2022 Concacaf Under-20 Championship. Until tomorrow, have a good night, everybody. So long from Honduras.
Escucha, es patrocinador orgulloso del Campeonato Sub-20 de Concacaf 2022, porque el fútbol inspira niños y transforma futuros. Sub-20 de Concacaf. Les deseamos un buen retorno a sus hogares.
Thank you, Gabriel Diniz, team Suriname.